Hello and welcome to Right Sport Talk. My name is Zach, and as we are getting closer to the NFL season, it kicks off in a little over 1 week. I wanted to finish going over my division predictions. Last week I went over the AFC. This week I'm going to give you my predictions for the NFC. Starting off first with the NFC North. First place, I believe, will go to the Detroit Lions. Their team that won the division last season. They're still look to be a very high-powered team. They did lose. I know both their offensive coordinators, Ben Johnson and the defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn, to head coaching positions. They did lose their starting All-Pro center Frank Ragnow as he retired, but I still believe that offensively they have enough firepower to kind of pretty much outscore anybody in their division and go toe-to-toe with anybody in the NFL. Jahmyr Gibbs looks to be a very good running back. He's a very explosive running back. They compare him with David Montgomery, who looks like he's healthy again after missing a few games at the end of last season. They still have Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's a very good wide receiver. Jameson Williams, who is a wide receiver that can break a play at any moment in time. They have a rookie wide receiver they drafted in the third round, and Isaac Tesla, who had a very good preseason and looks like he could be a very good number 3 option in this offense. And then defensively, they have Aiden Hutchinson coming back healthy after missing a big chunk of last season with a leg injury. He looks ready to go. Hopefully, as long as their defense can stay healthy, I think their defense can still play very well, even without Aaron Glenn at the helm. So I do believe that the Detroit Lions should still win this division this year. I think they are still the number 1 team in this division. In second place, this one kind of a toss-up. I think this is a very close division, but second place I have going to the Minnesota Vikings. Yes, there are question marks around J.J. McCarthy. He is really going into his first year playing NFL football. He missed his entire rookie season last year with an MCL tear that he suffered in their first preseason game. So they had Sam Darnold last season, but Sam Darnold still won them, I believe, 14 games. They are still very talented around J.J. McCarthy on offense. Still have Justin Jefferson, T.J. Hawkinson. Jordan Addison is suspended the first 3 games, but I think after that, Jordan Addison should still come back and have a very productive season. They have what should be a very good running back tandem in Aaron Jones and blanking on his name, the player they literally got from San Francisco last season, or from San Francisco in the offseason. Their biggest question marks on offense was their offensive line. They did draft an O-lineman, a guard in the first round that should help solidify their interior offensive line. They do still have a very good defense. Like Brian Flores is a very good defensive mind, and their defense was very good last season. I think they'll still do very well this season. So I think the Minnesota Vikings will do just enough to finish second in this division, but I think it will be very close with, I think, the Vikings and the other 3 teams that I think could also compete for second place in this division. Moving on, the team I think comes in third place is the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay does have some question marks on offense. They have a very young wide receiver core. They have a rookie that looks like he could be the number 1 guy in Matthew Golden, but he's still very unproven. Their biggest proven receiver, Christian Watson, is out with a knee injury. And it's just a bunch of question marks from guys that have shown flashes but haven't been able to stay healthy or stay consistent. So it's just a very good question mark of what they can do. Running back, they have Josh Jacobs, a very good running back who was one of the better running backs in the league last season. I think he could be one of the better running backs in the league this season as well. Jordan Love is a very good quarterback when healthy. His question mark is, how long can he stay healthy for? If he can stay healthy for the whole season, I think that honestly the Packers can compete for second place in this division and could maybe overtake the Minnesota Vikings. But right now, Jordan Love, he's dealing with a thumb injury right now. It is on his non-throwing hand, but not a good sign that he's already dealing with an injury and the regular season hasn't even started. And defensively, they have a very solid defense, but they do have question marks at pass rusher. Although Rashawn Gary is very good, they don't really have a proven number 2 guy other than him in the pass rush. And their secondary has a lot of question marks. Their safety room is very good, but a lot of question marks at corner. They did let go or believe, moved on from Jair Alexander, one of their top corners in the offseason, because he couldn't really stay healthy, so he wasn't really helping them much anyway. So I think there are a lot of question marks in the secondary, especially at corner, in the pass rush, and if Jordan Love can stay healthy. Moving on, so I do think that gets them finishing in third place. Though, meaning in last place, I think the Chicago Bears will finish fourth place in this division. They are a team that, in terms of guys that they've brought in and talent, should be near the top. But they have a new head coach. It's a new system for Caleb Williams at quarterback going into his second year in the league. They did a lot to improve their interior offensive line, which was one of their bigger question marks from last season, one of their bigger issues from last season. I think that will help them out. They have a decent running back in DeAndre Swift, though they didn't really bring in anybody to compete with him, to be another guy that could be a starter or be a very good number 2 running back. So I do have some question marks in the running game. A receiver, they have Romeo Doubs, who going into his second season can hopefully make a year 1 to year 2 leap. They have DJ Moore, who's a very talented receiver, and they have a rookie they drafted in the second round who can also make an impact. They drafted Colston Loveland at tight end in the first round, should also make an impact in that offense. I think my question mark for them mainly is how soon they can adapt to Ben Johnson's offensive system and how soon Caleb Williams can really take control of that offense. I think if Caleb Williams can adapt to it quickly and they can play well, then they're another team that could possibly push for second place in this division. And defensively, I think they're going to be very good. They are the Bears. They're known for having pretty good defenses every year. But for right now, they have enough question marks that I believe they will finish fourth in the division. Moving on to the NFC East, the team I have coming in first is the Philadelphia Eagles. They are the defending Super Bowl champions. They won the division last year. They didn't really lose any pieces in the offseason. Obviously, they're still going to have a very good offense. Jalen Hurts is still there. Is a very good quarterback. They still have Saquon at running back. They have Will Shipley behind him, who's a very good running back if they want to limit the amount of touches that Saquon gets to limit his injuries, or if he were to get injured. I think that Shipley is a very good number 2 back that can take over, especially behind one of the top offensive lines in the NFL. They still have very talented receivers in A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. So no real worries offensively. Defensively, they're still very good. They did lose some veterans in their defensive line room, primarily Josh Sweat, who is one of their better defensive linemen, and Milton Williams, who is one of the better defensive linemen from last season. I think they have enough to kind of reload that defensive line with young, talented defensive linemen such as Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, guys that can really fill that, kind of fill the void left by those veteran players that they lost. The secondary, one of the top secondaries in the NFL. Linebacker, they're one of the top teams in the NFL. There's talent all the way around. Not a whole lot of question marks. I do think that the Philadelphia Eagles do finish first in this division and can probably compete for the Super Bowl once again. Now, the team I have coming in second in this division is the Washington Commanders. They're another team that didn't really lose a whole lot of talent. They actually brought in some pretty good talent, bringing in Deebo Samuel in the offseason. They finally gave Terry McLaurin a contract extension. So they still have Jaden Daniels, who is one of the as somebody going into his second season, is one of the top quarterbacks in the NFC right now. They did trade Brian Robinson to the 49ers, but I think they still have a good running back core. Austin Eckler is a very good receiving back. They have a few guys, Christian Rodriguez, Jacory Crosby Merritt, who can be kind of fill that Brian Robinson role as more of the short yardage power back. They brought in Laramie Tunsil on their offensive line to help shore up one of their weaker positions last season, which was left tackle. And defensively, it's a Dan Quinn-led defense. They're going to play very well. So I do think that they're good enough to be second in this division, but they're not quite good enough in my eyes to really overtake the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, third place in this division, I have the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys are a team that, talent-wise, especially last season, should have been competing for the division. However, dealt with a lot of injuries. Dak Prescott missed time with injury. Towards the end of the season, CeeDee Lamb missed time with injury. This offseason, their best offensive lineman, Zach Martin, retired. So they have some question marks there. They did draft a rookie guard in the first round in Tyler Booker to try and fill that role. But question marks is how their offensive line is going to look right now. It's a pretty young offensive line. A lot of question marks in the running game as they lost Rico Dowdle in free agency. They brought in Miles Sanders, Javonte Williams. They drafted rookie running back Jordan Blue to kind of fill that void, but their running game has a lot of question marks. I don't really trust any of those guys right now to be a true number one running back, to be a true guy that you can start every week with confidence. I think they might just go with running back by committee and just keep playing, hot hand. At wide receiver, they still have CeeDee Lamb. They brought in George Pickens, who I think helps out that offense tremendously. And if Dak Prescott can stay healthy, this passing game I think is going to be phenomenal. But offensive line questions, running game question marks. Defensively, their biggest question mark right now is Micah Parsons, who he wants a contract extension and didn't practice at all in training camp, didn't play in the preseason, is still having a hold in. Don't know if he's going to be on the field for week 1 as of now. So that's their biggest question mark. But even so, their defense wasn't the best last season. They didn't really do a whole lot to address that this offseason. So I do think that the Dallas Cowboys finish in third. They're slightly better than the team I have finishing in fourth place, which is going to just transition to that right now. It's the New York Giants. I think the New York Giants finished fourth. The Giants are a team that defensively have all the talent you need. They've got Dexter Lawrence, Kayvon Thibodeau, Brian Burns, the guy they just drafted out of Penn State, Abdul Carter, really talented pass rush, defensive line, front seven, pretty good secondary. Not the best secondary, but pretty good. Their defense, really no question marks around their defense. Their defense should be great. Their offense is the biggest question mark. Starting off at quarterback. Right now, they've got Russell Wilson slated to be their starting quarterback. And behind him, they've got rookie Jackson Dart, and they've got Jameis Winston also in the QB room. They've got very talented receiver in Malik Neighbors. A lot of question marks other than him. And their offensive line. They got Andrew Thomas, their Pro Bowl left tackle who missed a lot of season last year with injury. He's back. But outside of him, there is a lot of question marks on that offensive line. I don't really know if I trust their offensive line. I don't know how well Russell Wilson is going to look after the first, couple weeks in the season. And he's always good for, a good start to the season. But after that, he kind of starts to fade off. Jackson Dart, because he's a rookie and he's unproven, you don't really know how he's going to look if he has to be thrown into the fire with this team. So the Giants, if I had any more confidence in their offense, I could think that they could possibly compete, with the Cowboys to finish in third, maybe compete with the Commanders for second. But because of their question marks with their offense, I have them coming in fourth place right now. Moving on to the NFC South, the team I have winning the division is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They won the division last season. They've won the division the past few years in a row. Offensively, they've got Baker Mayfield coming back. He's still very good. They've got Mike Evans, their number one wide receiver, who he's always Mr. Consistency. He's, going to get about 1,000. He's going to get 1,000 yards every season. He's going to, in big situations, show up when Baker Mayfield needs him. They have a rookie they drafted in the first round in Emeka Ibuka, who I think should play very well, especially because about the first month of the season or so, Chris Godwin looks like he's not going to play, still dealing with the ankle injury he suffered last season. They've got a very good running back in Bucky Irving, a very good running back behind him in Rachaad White, who's and so he's very good. He's a solid running back. He's a good receiving back. He can do anything you really need from him. He just can't do it great. Their offensive line is very good. However, to start the season for the first few weeks, they are going to be without Tristan Wirfs, their all-pro left tackle. So you got to wonder how that's going to affect their offense. And defensively, they're another team that's very good. Defensively, not a whole lot of question marks. If anything, it would kind of just be that they're an aging defense. But as of now, they haven't really shown any reasons to have a whole lot of question marks. So I do think that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win the NFC South. In second place, I think the Atlanta Falcons will finish second in this division. They're a team that their biggest question mark on offense is their quarterback. It's Michael Penix, who he started a handful of games last year to end the season. So he looked pretty good in those games. The question mark really is, can he continue? Because they have all the weapons around him. They've got Drake London, who's a very good he's a very good wide receiver as his number one option. They've got Bijan Robinson, who is one of the top running backs in the league. They've got behind him Tyler Algier, who's a very good power back. They've got Kyle Pitts, who's very talented. He's got all the talent you want at tight end. Hopefully this is the year he makes a big leap. They've got a solid offensive line. However, their starting right tackle looks like he's going to miss some time with an injury. And their biggest question mark really is their defense, especially their front seven and their pass rush. They brought in two rookie edge rushers in the first round this season. Hopefully that can help them. But you just got to wait to see how long it takes for them to really develop into solid NFL starters. So because of the question marks there, mainly surrounding their defense, and if whatever Michael Penix is, especially early on in the season, I think that they will finish in second in this division. Third place in this division, I have the Carolina Panthers. They are a team that came on strong last season. Hopefully they can build that momentum going into this season. Bryce Young looks like a very, very good quarterback to end the season last year. Can that continue? They brought in pieces to hopefully help him. They drafted Ted McMillan in the first round, the wide receiver out of Arizona, who's a very big body guy. He does have some concerns with dropping the ball. But hopefully, he can get it figured out and he can be one of Bryce Young's top targets. They also have Xavier Legette, who was their first round pick last year at wide receiver. They've got Chuba Hubbard, who's a very talented running back. Behind him, they've got Rico Dowdle, who's another very good running back, who is coming off of 1,000 yards last season with the Dallas Cowboys. Their main question is their defense. They did bring in some pieces to beef up their defense in the offseason. They're getting Derek Brown, their best defensive lineman, back, who should be a very big asset to their defense. But right now, that is their big question mark. Also, can they continue the momentum they were building from last season? I think if they can do that, I think they can compete. Maybe not to win the division, but maybe compete with the Falcons and could possibly compete for a playoff spot. But for right now, with all their question marks, I do have them finishing third in this division. And finishing fourth, I have the New Orleans Saints. No team in this division, very few teams in the NFL have as many question marks surrounding their team as the New Orleans Saints. To start off, let's start with their quarterback room. Right now, they have not named a starting quarterback. They played all 3 preseason games. Haven't named a starting quarterback between Spencer Rattler, Tyler Shuck, and maybe Jake Hayner. I think the two consensus guys that could be named the starter are Spencer Rattler and their rookie Tyler Shuck, or the rookie Tyler Shuck. They have question marks. Their offensive line, they did draft Banks out of Texas to be their left tackle. They have a guy they drafted last season to be the right tackle. They moved Trevor Penning, who had been a right tackle or a left tackle, into guard. I think that'll really help him. But their offensive line is really unproven right now, which is kind of their question mark for them. In the receiving game, they had Chris Olave, but He's a guy that's dealt with injuries, dealt with a lot of concussion issues. Don't know how he can stay healthy. They have Raheed Shaheed, who's more of a big play, deep threat guy than he is anything else. They brought Brandon Cooks in to kind of be that veteran receiver in the wide receiver room, but he has some questions as to how much wear he still has, or how much he basically has some questions as to how good he still is as he's getting up there in age. Their defense has some question marks. Offensively, Alvin Kamara, another guy that's getting up there in age, but I think could still play very well in this offense. And their defense has some question marks. They brought in Kellen Moore to be their head coach. He's going to be a first-time head coach. So I don't know really what this offense, or really what this team in general is going to look like. And with all the question marks they have on their team, I do think they come in fourth place in this division. And they're a team that I think is going to be pretty up there in competition for the first overall pick in next year's draft. Finally, moving on to the NFC West. The team that I have winning this division, this is, I believe, one of the toughest divisions in the NFL, especially or in the NFC. I think for the NFC, the toughest divisions are this division and the NFC North. There's just that much competition. But the team that I have winning this division is the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers actually finished last in this division last season. They were dealing with a bunch of injuries last year. They're still dealing with some injuries, but just not as many. Last year, they lost Christian McCaffrey to start the season. He came back, started to play well, and then injured again and out for the rest of the year. He looks to be healthy going into this season, which is a very good thing for them. So that really helps them offensively. They have a very good offensive line led by Trent Williams, although he is getting older. That's his main question mark. He's in his 30s. They've got George Kittle, who's a very good tight end. They've got Ricky Pearsall, who is their first-round draft pick from last year at wide receiver. They have other injuries at wide receiver with question marks. Primarily Brandon Ayuk looks to miss the start of the season. We've got Juwan Jennings dealing with a calf injury, I believe, who could be ready to start the season, but it's unclear. But offensively, I still think it's enough. I think Brock Purdy is a good enough quarterback that with what he has around him, he can still lead them to some wins. And defensively, they're a very solid defense. They actually brought Robert Saleh back to be their defensive coordinator. Their defense performed the best under him when he was a defense coordinator a few years ago before going to be the Jets head coach. So I think their defense should be good enough to help them win games. Offensively, I think they have enough around Brock Purdy that they should be able to win games. And they have one of the easier schedules in the NFL, minus their division. It's a pretty easy schedule. I think that will also help them. So I do think the 49ers win the NFC West. Moving on, the team that I think comes in second place is the Los Angeles Rams. Right now, there is a big question mark around Matthew Stafford. He's been dealing with a back injury throughout training camp. He did come back to practice towards the end of training camp. And I think if he can stay healthy, they have so much talent on this team. Obviously, they have Puka Nacua at wide receiver. They brought in Devontae Adams. They have Kyron Williams, a very good running back. They drafted a rookie in Jarquez Hunter, who's a home run threat running back at any point. They've got Blake Corum, who they drafted last season, who is very similar to Kyron Williams. If Kyron Williams were to get injured, they've got a very solid offensive line. And their defense, especially their defensive line, is so good. They've got a very good young defensive line. They've got Jared Verse, who was a rookie of the year. They've got Braden Fisk, who was in the running for defensive rookie of the year last year. They've got Byron Young. I really like their young defensive line and their defensive core as a whole. But I don't think that they're going to do as well as the 49ers this season. I think it'll be close. I think this is a division that literally could come down to the last week of the season to see how it plays out. But right now, I have the Los Angeles Rams finishing second in this division. Coming in third place in this division, I have the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle is a team that won 10 games last year and just barely missed the playoffs. They're a team that they've got Mike Macdonald going into his second year as head coach. They brought in Sam Darnold in the offseason to be their starting quarterback. They let Geno Smith go to the Raiders. They lost two of their top receivers from last season in DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. still got Jackson Smith and Jigbo, who's a very talented receiver. They brought in Cooper Kupp, who last season played well really until the end of the year. They've got some pretty talented young guys in Jake Bobo and Torrey Horton. They've changed up their offensive scheme a little bit. They'll be more of a run-heavy team, which I think will help them, especially with Ken Walker and Zach Charbonnet, who are very talented running backs. It looked like their offensive line got better in the offseason. They've got a very good defense. I think that they're a team that should play well this season. Their only issue is that within their division, I don't know how they're going to do. I think maybe they could maybe go 3-3, maybe 4-2 in their division, but I don't think it's going to be enough. They could also go 2-4 in their division. That's how tough their division is. So I don't really think it's going to be enough for them to overtake the Rams or the Niners. So I do think they come in third place in this division. And last place, I have the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals, and they're a very talented team, but their main question mark is their quarterback. It's Kyler Murray. And how many games is he going to show up, and how many games is he going to be consistent and show that he can be a consistent top-level starting quarterback in the NFL? They've got talent around him. They've got Marvin Harrison, who was drafted in the first round last season. They've got Trey McBride at tight end, who's very good. Solid offensive line. They've been beefing that up the past few seasons. James Conner was a very good running back. Behind him, got Trey Benson, who's another good running back. But their offense, I think, will only go as far as Kyler Murray leads them. I don't know how far that's going to be. He's somebody that is very wishy-washy. He will have a stretch of a few games where he looks great. He looks like a top-tier quarterback in the NFL. And then he'll fall off a cliff for about a month or so and just do a complete 180, look like a completely different quarterback, look like he has never started in the NFL in his life. So you don't know which Kyler Murray you're going to get, and that really frightens me to see how this offense will do. Because if you get consistent Kyler Murray every week, this team's a playoff team. But if you get those stretches where Kyler Murray looks like he doesn't want to be there, this is a team that's going to finish bottom in this division. Defensively, they've actually beefed up their defense this offseason. That was one of their bigger question marks. They did bring in some past 2 seasons. They drafted defensive linemen. They brought Calais Campbell back for one more ride in Arizona. They've got some young talent around him as well. So they're a team that I think their defense should play well this season. But the biggest question mark is Kyler Murray, and he's a very big question mark. So I do think that they come in last in the NFC West. Let me know in the comments who you guys think win the division, or how you think teams are going to do. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time.